You have choice. You have always had choice. What change can we be today? What action can we take to create a future of greater possibilities? Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast with your host, Simone Milasas. Hey everybody, welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. And maybe you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not watching it on YouTube, you can now watch, some of my podcasts on YouTube. So go there and check it out. And today I have one of my very closest friends, Mr. Brendon Watt. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, thank you for having me. And also, can I just say thank you for saying be camera ready, because otherwise I would have been sitting here a little different right now because it's a Zoom, So.
Well, you know what? Okay, I was on this meeting before and I said, I think men are always camera ready. But one of the guys I work with, Wes, went, I'm not. He goes, but I don't know if I'm just or have part female. And it's like, I think it's harder for women. But anyway, there you go. And you know what? Camera ready can be anything too. I like camera ready when you've got, your hat on and you're looking sporty spice and everything too. But I would like the tools of access consciousness to get out there in a much bigger way. So we are looking at changing things up with the podcast. And hence it's called Choice, Change and Action Podcast.
What an awesome name.
I know Brendon Watt actually came up with the name. So there you go. What if everything, like every day you woke up and it wasn't this like same choices that you made yesterday? It's like you are in question, and every day you wake up, you ask the question, is this actually working for me today? Like if we lived in a world of possibilities, what would we choose?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. So Brendon, let's talk about, it's like if I look at your life and everything that you've chosen, and now that you're choosing to live in Texas in USA, in a world of choice of possibilities, it's like, tell me some of the things that that you've come up against, or you've chosen, choosing something different. Because most people are so comfortable in, like, if I think of all the people I went to school with in Sydney, they went to school in Sydney, they went to college in Sydney, university in Sydney, they worked in Sydney, now they're married with kids in Sydney, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Please, I'm not saying that that's a wrongness. But what I do get is so many people don't give themselves the freedom to choose something different.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go explore the world, go explore the world. If whatever you want to choose, it's like, this is, you have a choice of possibilities available. So what are you going to choose? What are you not choosing that you could be choosing? Putting it that way.
Well, isn't it interesting though that our possibilities are limited by the freedom that we're willing to have with ourselves, with our choices, and you just saying that I chose to move to Texas. I was facilitating a class on the weekend, and I was getting frustrated. So I was like, "Okay, guys, we need to have a break." And I called a friend, and I was talking to her, and she's like, "Hey, can you just?"
I called a friend. I used my one card, calling a friend.
Yeah, and after I phoned a friend, and then I can't remember what the rest of the things were on that show. You remember how they used to have phone a friend?
Yeah.
Or like
50-50, yeah.
50-50, yeah, it was 50-50. Is he going to go back to class or not?
Yeah.
But I was talking to her, and she's like, "Can you just acknowledge that you choose a little different?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she reminded me of the thing of moving here, because it's like I was about to take off from. I was in the US at the time, 18 months ago, and I was about to take off to Budapest for a class that we were all facilitating. You were one of them, and I canceled the flight that morning. And because of that, I got to get a visa and live in the US and blah blah blah. But if I would have gotten on that flight, my life would be completely different right now. And I've always kind of had that freedom to give myself the choices that would allow my life to be extremely different. And for me, I didn't always have that, because I didn't always give myself the freedom. And that's one of the things that we so stop ourselves with. I get, because it's almost like possibilities don't make sense.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get the possibilities if I can't choose like that?
So can we go back a second? Because I remember when you were looking at changing your flight.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and because we were in Budapest, and so your mates as well. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, Dane He, co-creator, myself, we were ready to facilitate this class. And I was talking to a friend the other day about, the choices with your life. It's like left, right, left, right, left, right. And we're actually talking about kangaroos because, kangaroos can't move backwards. They can only
Yeah.
move forward. If
Uh-huh.
they want to turn around, they have to go in a circle, right? So it's like, what if you were more like a kangaroo? And it's like you choose left, you choose right. And then sometimes you go, oh, and it's like, all right, but you don't go back. You go, oh, I chose right, but hang on a second, here's another choice here. And I remember having conversations with you in March 2020 about choosing, like whether to fly to Budapest or not. So, can you just break that down a little bit? Because I think so many people try and make the right choice
Yeah.
rather than what they're aware of.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, the right choice rather than what they're aware of. But for me, it was for me, what I know about choice is that it creates. So every choice I make and every choice that any of us make creates something. So I knew that I definitely knew that canceling that flight would create something. I wasn't sure what yet, but I also knew I had more choices. And I think that's the thing that allows us to choose is once you know that it's like, well, if this doesn't, because I had no idea how it was going to show up. I didn't even know if I was going to get the visa for the US. I mean, they kicked me out of the country. They kicked me out of the country after 3 months and said, "You've outstayed your tourist visa. It's time for you to leave." So I was like, shit, what do I do? So
Fun times in Mexico.
I flew to Mexico for 3 months and thought I was going for 2 weeks to handle this visa thing. And I just kept going and going and going and going. But the thing with talking about the possibilities aspect of it was I knew that everything was going to be okay, and I just kept asking every day, okay, so what's it going to take for this to change? What's it going to take for this to show up? And and it did eventually, and I got 3 months in Mexico. That was supposed to be 2 weeks, but
So let's talk about, because as you tell this story, right? And it's like
mm,
I get so many people when they come across these, if we want to say the crossroads of life,
yeah,
it's like when they come across that, they sort of start looking at like the easy route rather than the route that's going to create the greater possibility. Okay. So the easiest choice sort of would have been like, well, why don't you just come home to Australia because you know it, quote unquote. You can use that as a reference point. I mean, gosh, you even have, a house here. You have a couple of houses here. You have family here. You have friends here. It's like, so that would normally equal, well, that's the easy choice. I know it. So can you
well,
talk about not making the easy choice because you know it, and then like you did, you lived in Mexico for 3 months.
yeah. Well, it's the easy one, but it's also the comfortable one, and
Ah,
it's
yes.
that's where that whole comfort thing comes in because as long as we know that we've got comfort, then we don't really have to worry about possibilities, and we can predict and predetermine tomorrow and next week and next year, and we can kind of map out our futures based on our past. And that's the way that I've seen for me
Well,
and a
we
lot of other
think we
people
can.
when they well, we think we can. That's exactly. But see, the thing with it is though, with that creation of that predetermined or the predictable future, is you keep looking backwards. Like if you go, okay, well, tomorrow I can make a little better than today based on yesterday, and then you keep kind of you're constantly tethered to the past, looking at, okay, how do I get a little bit better, how do I get a little bit better. And one of the things, I guess, one of the gifts that I will acknowledge that I have had my whole life is I'm willing just to go for something and just go, well, and I mean, you've seen me do it many times, and it's like, okay, I'll just do it and we'll see what happens. And then if it fails, if it goes to shit, if it goes to whatever, then we'll have more choices. But that to me is the joy of living, and it definitely is where I found all the possibilities in my life. It's just like, what worst case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? I'm gonna what? Fail? I'm gonna die? I'll be fine.
Do you know when you're talking about this, the story that's coming to mind is when we went heli-skiing in Colorado.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
perfect example.
you got to get some backstory. It's like Brendon has, had this thing with heights, right? And if you don't know about heli skiing, it's like they take you to the top of a very tall mountain, like high mountain. And actually, where we went heli skiing was the same mountains that's on the core beers is like was that thing, you know.
It was 14.
Anyway,
It was 14,000 feet above sea level was where we were skiing down from, like where we were landing. That's
yeah, and you were
high.
snowboarding, I was skiing. It's high, and you have to sort of jump out of the, helicopter, and it's there. So talk about that, like that choice, because that was quote unquote like an uncomfortable choice for you in some way, but there was this adventure there for you as well.
Well, and you just jogged something else. So I see what I can get to with this, but with that one, it was basically I saw a pamphlet or something, and I went, that would be fun. Yes, done. And I definitely have the ability to choose like that, and I'm starting to see in this conversation where I've stopped doing that in certain areas. But anyway, that's another story. But but I just went, yeah, okay, cool. Because so I went to you and I went, hey, you want to go heli-skiing? I think it was tomorrow. It was like the
Which,
next day.
yeah, and let me give you a bit of back because this was a really cool tool for me, and I'm really grateful that you did that because I had spoken about going heli skiing for years, and it's I don't think it's available in Australia where we don't really have that bigger mountains, but I've always said, oh, I would love to go heli skiing, love to go heli skiing, and it was beautiful weather in Colorado. I mean, can I just point out I'd had a hysterectomy 9 weeks prior though, and and then you said
That's
to me, do you want to
probably a
go?
good thing to point out, but
I know my doctor was like, "You did what?" But you said to me, "Do you want to go heli skiing?" And I went, "Crap! I've been talking about it my whole life, and I had not yet chosen it." So when you asked me that question, I had to look at, "Holy shit! Do I just want to keep talking about it, or do I actually just want to choose it?" So beautiful weather. I couldn't say no. The weather's not good. I went yes as well. So I get that we were both contributing to each other in this, like, hey, are you going to talk about it or are you going to choose it?
yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too that slows most people down with choosing well anything beyond changing their underwear is it's like if you want to choose something in a week but you're not quite sure you can do it yet, you'll wait the week until you figure out whether you can do it before you'll choose it, rather than go, okay, I'm choosing it, and then allowing the universe actually to contribute the awareness that it's going to take to get you to the ability to function with that choice, or the awareness that you need with that choice. And I noticed this with I'm doing this class that where we came on here to talk about what can you create from a world of possibilities. um I came up, well, with Gary Douglas's help with the title, like a month and a half ago. I was talking to him about it, and I was like, I want to do this class. I want to do this 3-day class on possibilities, and and I said, can you help me with the title? And he said, no, but you can come up with the title, and then I can help you with that. And I went, okay, cool. So I did, and we worked on that. But at the stage, with where I was at in my life at that stage, I knew that I didn't have the tools to facilitate this class, but I also knew that in the 2 months that it was 2 months away, that the
Yeah.
universe would show me what I needed to facilitate that class. So I was, rather than functioning there with trying to come up with the name with it, I was looking at, okay, so where will I be in 2 months? Where will the universe be? Where will the planet be? Where will the world be in 2 months? And what is that energy that I can tap into now? And that's what with our choices, like if we looked at that and went, oh, so I'm aware of what I could choose in 2 months, I don't need to wait the 2 months to choose it. I could choose it now and then allow the universe to actually give me the information, give me the awareness, give me whatever it is, so that I can create that possibility in my life rather than waiting for it. And it was a gift to see that. I was like, oh, wow, because since then I've been getting all of these different awarenesses on creating from possibilities. This has been
So
epic.
can you talk a little bit about though, because you keep saying like the universe, and I see some people go, well, that's a bit, like a cop out,
La-di-da.
like waiting for the universe to deliver rather than, can you talk about the receiving aspect you have from the whispers of the universe?
Yeah, well, it's the receiving comes with the place where you don't have to have a result with it. And like having with possibilities and asking for possibilities in your life, it truly is from the place of what would it take to create something greater here, or what else is possible with this, but then allowing it to show up in whatever way it shows up. And I know where I've stopped myself a lot in my life, and I see a lot of people do it, is, well, what else is possible as better of what I've got than this? So you
What do you
eliminate.
mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, like if you're if you've got like a problem with your money, and you make money a certain way, and you're asking, well, what else is possible with making more money with this, then
Hmm.
you've already defined that you're going to make more money just with that, rather than, I wonder what it would take for me just to receive more abundance of money, which allows it to show up from anywhere, and it doesn't stop that receiving. And that's where we go, well, it has to look like this. Well, I can't even see it if it doesn't look like this. And you actually taught me a lot about this with different ways that revenue can show up. Because I'd look at it and go, okay, well, I'd like more money. And you go, well, what about that gift that you got last week? And I'd be like, well, that's not money, you know. But it was a revenue stream into my life based on what I was willing to ask for. But because I couldn't see it based on my definition of what it takes to make money, I was eliminating possibilities all over the place.
So let's give a couple of tools here for anyone listening, because I know so many people, like you hit a nail on the head with revenue streams, that they go, well, that means I have to do more hours, or, I've got a full-time job already, blah, blah, blah. They go to all these reasons and justifications. And like you said, looking for this result or a conclusionary reality rather than being in question. And literally, one of the questions that I use on a very regular basis is, what would it take for more revenue streams to show up?
Yeah.
And then I go about my day. I make my coffee, I go for a run, whatever. It's like, what would it take for more revenue streams to show up? And you can also say, everything that doesn't allow me to receive more revenue streams, destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and
Right
wrong,
and
good and
wrong,
bad,
good and
hot and
bad,
cold.
pot and pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you haven't heard it, is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can find out more about it at theclearingstatement.com, and Dr. Dane here talks about it. But it's basically just going delete, 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 delete for all of those thoughts, feelings, emotions, points of view that you have that are not allowing you to receive. Because most of us try and work it out before actually receiving. So let's go back to the heli-skiing for a second, because for you, I love the way you said you saw the brochure, you went yes, you asked me, I said yes, and I think we both went, what the hell, and then we chose it, then we went. So talk to me about making that choice and having really no idea what that was going to look like and what it was like for you.
Well, it was a flash of excitement. But also, I just noticed with you saying that, the thing with me in choosing that was, I was willing to go with or without you. If you would have said no, if you would have said no, I don't want to go heli-skiing, I wouldn't have stopped. And that's where I see a
That's
lot of
that's very key. Yeah.
that's key, because that's where a lot of people stop, is they'll get that flash of that. It's almost like you just get this feeling of, oh, my world feels bigger because of it. And I was like, yes. And but also, it's like where you get that, and then you're like, oh, but yeah, but my partner's not going to like that, so let me not even entertain those things, rather than just go, yeah, that's going to contribute to my life, I'm going to choose it. and and when I did it, I mean, to be honest with you, and you know this, I was terrified. Like, I was
Yeah, you
terrified
were.
that morning. I'm pretty sure that morning before we left, which, I'll just say it anyway because I can and I don't really care, is like, I think I had like three cigarettes, three cigarettes and two beers for breakfast before going heli-skiing. And I realized when you get to 14,000 feet that three cigarettes and two beers is not your brightest choice for breakfast. Your lung capacity is substantially limited by not only the oxygen, but smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. But that first run up there, like when we went through the safety briefing and we went through all that, I was terrified, but I also wasn't willing to stop. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just do it, let's go. And we did it, and it was amazing, and it
Yeah.
was terrifying.
Yeah,
You know,
it was epic. And I remember, I mean, for myself too, like I said, I was so grateful for you asking that question, because and I started to look at, it was a great tool for me for everything. And I would invite you all listening to this, start looking at the places where you are saying you would like to choose something, but you're actually not. And
yeah,
and get clear. It doesn't mean you have to choose it, but just go, okay, I've been talking about heli skiing my whole life. Actually, you know what? I don't want to go heli skiing. It's like that doesn't
yeah,
work for me. Like, look at it and break it down. But if you actually would like to choose it, then choose it. Like, if I think of adventure things, when people have spoken about bungee jumping, I'm pretty clear. I have no desire to bungee jump. There's no,
I'm
I hear people talk about it and how their eyes almost burst out of their head, and I'm like, I mean, I've jumped out of a plane, I've gone heli-skiing, I've done a lot of adventurous things, but bungee jumping, I'm like, no. So it's not a question in my world. It's just like, I don't get my body is up for that. Like it doesn't
I'm
excite
no
me.
a rubber
But
band
get
around your
clear
leg
on it.
jumping off a bridge.
Yeah, and if you weren't trying to prove something with your choices, then what would you choose? For me, it's like, being up there on a mountain and skiing is a level of like space and freedom that I've always had. Like I've skied since I was 3 years old, and can I tell you, just in case you're thinking about it, heli skiing is very different than just normal downhill skiing because the amount of powder you have, I was like, holy
Sinking.
shit, how do you ski in this? It was just like massive. Like you have to change the way you ski. So you couldn't, again, not having something as a reference point, it was like, oh, my style has to change here because I'm not just downhill skiing with, a little bit of snow. It's different. So you have to be able to rearrange your choices in a nanosecond. So everywhere that you're not willing to rearrange your choices in a nanosecond to have the adventure called living your life, where you destroy and uncreate it.
You're
Time's a
right and wrong
godzillion.
about pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you just reminded me of an element that I knew when I was choosing that also was the no reference points. Like you have no, when you heliski, you have no defined path. And
Yeah.
that as an analogy with
Literally, you have no defined path. I mean, the guy
quite
was like,
literally,
follow my track. It's best because we honestly don't know what's here, like rocks or cliffs or anything. But
yeah.
but I couldn't even follow his path because usually I'm pretty good at following someone, but it was like with that much powder, it was like, oh, I was making my own path.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember falling, and it's like it took me. I think it took me like 20 minutes to get out of this hole that I was in. But it's like, but it's like, but that thing of making choices that you've never chosen before, they will give you that. Like it gives you that freedom to know that you don't need that predetermined path to know where to go. You know where to go, and I think that was one of I'm looking at different things in my life like that at the moment. They're just popping up, but I noticed that that's pretty much the ongoing theme. Is it's that choice to make that you go, oh, okay, so what? I'm basically on a blank canvas right now. Where am I going to go? Not this happened yesterday, so I'll do it again. And ski runs are great. They're like that. But going heli skiing is basically like, no, you basically are on your own. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and look, I'd like to give a tool here too, and if you have any as well, Brendan, is wherever you are right now, it's like I'm in my office right now, so and so often we assume what's next. So even if you use the simple tool of wherever you are, and it's like I open the door to my office to go outside, and I would go, oh well, there's the kitchen, there's this, blah 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 blah, and it's like, what if you never expected what was there. You never had these expectations or these projections, so you're always in question. And it's like then that opens up, like the universe is literally opening up doors for you of other possibilities. Because if I walked outside and went, oh, this is the way it is, or use it with people, you go, oh, I'm going to see this person, this is the way this person is, or this is our relationship, this is what it looks like, blah blah blah. It's like then all you're doing is using the past as a reference point to create your future. Now,
Yep.
one of the tools in Access Consciousness is destroy and uncreate everything, like every single day. In the morning when you wake up, at bedtime, it's like destroy and uncreate everything you've decided as real and true for you, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So when you walk outside your door, it's like you're going to see something in a different way. Or I mean, one of the things I used to love, like the house that we co-own in Pridgeon Beach, has got a beach across the road, and the dog Max that we used to have, like we'd take him to the beach every day. And every single time he'd go to the beach, he'd look at you like, oh my God, check it out. And he'd be like, beach, water. And you're like, Max, you come
Beach
here at
ball
least once a
every day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the joy in his world, it would be like familiar yet new to him every single day. And he would, the waves, the people, and he would just run around with this joy. I always used to say, if you're in a shitty mood or, you're a bit sad or depressed or something like that, take our dog for a walk across the beach and try and maintain that, because the joy in his world was just like, whoa, we get to do this again. But he wasn't using it as a reference point. It was this this brand new something every single time. So what if every single time you like, if you're in a relationship or a friend or a work colleague, don't box anything in. Don't box anyone in. Don't box a situation in. It's like, what if you could have these brand new possibilities every single day? And one of the things that Brendon's referred to a few times here is, like he put this class up, doing this class live at the castle in Italy and online as well. And we'll give you details about that. But he put this class up going, okay, what would it take for me to be able to talk to this? Knowing that he was willing to be so vulnerable, let all of his barriers down and go, okay, universe, show me the way. And it's not like putting it all on the universe so that you can blame the universe if something doesn't show up. It's literally about asking questions and allowing, because the universe is opening up doors for you continuously. And
Yep.
then we slam them shut, or we go, I can't see them, I can't see them, with our eyes shut. And the universe is going, oi, you know what? I just opened these doors for you, and now that you're refusing to walk through them. So would you now be willing to walk through all of those doors that you've decided are slammed shut when they're not? And you do that to maintain, the mediocrity. You maintain your reality as per this reality rather than go, fuck that. I'm actually going to create my reality. And it's like, what
Yeah.
is that going to look like today? What is that going to be like? What am I going to choose today? What adventure can I choose today? And the universe doesn't sleep. So you ask the universe to contribute to you, it goes, okay, let's go. So what if you started receiving that?
Well, and that thing you said too about it's not about blaming the universe when you don't get anything. That's a big part too, because it's like that's where people will destroy the things that they've destroy the futures that they've asked for because they haven't showed up or they haven't showed up the way that they want. But for me, I know that everything that I don't have in my life, I'm not ready to receive yet. I'm not willing to receive yet. So I go, that's where I'm looking at. Okay, so what else have I got to change? What else can I change? What else can I be? Because that's the other thing with receiving is you can only receive that which you can be, and you can only be that which you can receive. So it's it's like this. Um, it's always like this. There's always more. Like you can always go, okay, I could be more today, rather than well, what don't I have? Like truly, this thing with receiving, if you like got super present with everything in your life right now, and that might not be much. I mean, I've had times in my life where I've had basically nothing apart from the clothes on me, and but it's like, but if you looked at even that and went, you know what, I'm really, really grateful for what I have right now, and I'm grateful for me right now. That energy alone allows you to go, okay, so what would it take to be more than that? And being kind with yourself with it. But it's like we live in such a time now in the world where we're like, why didn't I get everything yesterday? Well, it takes the willingness to be more in every moment, to
And to
receive more.
receive more. You really,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, receiving has been such a key element for me with Access Consciousness. One of the first times I ever met Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access, he hugged me, and I pulled back from him straight away. And I just had this friend who died, and I was sort of all like, cranky at the world. And he said to me, you know what, you'd be a lot better off if you're open to receiving. He said, he looked at, because I was at this expo, and he looked at my business. He said, you'd make more money, you'd have more fun, named a few things. And I looked at him and thought, you have no idea what's going on in my life. Like, but that night, all I could think about was, this man is talking to me about receiving more. And I remember the next day I walked up to him, hands on hips, like really petulant looking, because I was cranky and angry. And he looked at me and he was like, good
I
morning.
know that look. I love that look.
It's fiery. And I went, and he said, he looked at me and he went, so how you doing? And I went, I haven't slept all night. I said, all I could think about was these words that you said to me of, I'd be a lot better off if I was open to receiving. And I remember saying to him, I didn't think I was allowed to receive. I thought I was here to give. And I honestly thought for a very long time in my life that my job here on planet Earth was just to give. What if everything that you thought that your life was is the opposite of what it is? What if you were here to receive? And that I've been playing with that tool. I mean, I've been using Access Consciousness tools for 21 years now, and I've been playing with that tool for 21 years, and it keeps exponentializing everything for me in every area of my life. So,
Yeah.
what if you, even today, like one of the tools I've been using for about the past year is I wake up in the morning and put my hands on my body somewhere as I'm lying in bed and just ask, okay, what would it take for today to be greater than yesterday? And I put my hands on my body, so I include my body. So it's not just like, my business, my money, or something like that, or my relationships. It's like, no, my body and myself, my being. What would it take for today to be greater than yesterday? And just use that as a tool and see what shows up, and be open to the possibilities of receiving far greater.
Yeah. And that there though, the key thing that we've talked about in this is the question. Like having that question of what would it take to receive more today? But we've all been taught to figure that out. This true receiving comes from a space of relaxation. And for a lot of us, you talk about relaxation and you're like, no, I can't relax. I'll be lazy. They're not relaxing like
Does that
that.
mean watching Netflix with a glass of wine? And it's like,
Well,
it could, but what is it for you?
but
Yeah.
it's like, but we've been told it's lazy rather than, but it's actually a relaxation into, okay, I'm just gonna, even for this one thing today, I'm just gonna allow it to show up if it shows up, however it
Yeah.
may show up. I'm just gonna allow it, and you notice even the relaxation in your body. You're like, oh my god, like I don't have to figure it out for once. One thing in my life I don't have to figure out.
Yeah.
Different
So
realities.
Brendon, you've got this class live at the castle. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can actually read. It's what can you create from a world of possibilities. So it starts on the 27th of August, and it's for 3 days. So it is live at the castle. If you're in Europe, please, head down there. I would register soon, because it's definitely limited numbers there. But you can also catch the class online. You can go to accessconsciousness.com and just search classes with Brendon Watt. Also, I'm pretty sure brendonwatt.com would have it, and we'll have the links below anyway, in the podcast, in certain notes, etc. as well. And also, Brendon's doing a Choice of Possibilities live at the castle again, which I'm a little envious of, I must say, doing that there. And I've also got a Choice of Possibilities class. Well, I've got it live in Brisbane at the Antique Guild in our beautiful, I call it a warehouse, and I get in trouble for calling it a warehouse because Chris is like, it's our big massive shop, and it's so
our castle.
it is, and it's so elegant. I personally love doing classes there because you're sitting on this amazing, beautiful seat, and you're surrounded by all of these beautiful antiques and this luxury and elegance, which you will be too. So mine is they're both going to be online as well. Mine's at the end of August. Brendon's starts on the 20th of August. Obviously different time zones. Do what works for you. And if you've never heard of Access Consciousness before, I invite you to, go get your bars run from someone. That is one of the I don't know what I'd do if I didn't get my bars run. And it's like there are thousands and thousands of practitioners and facilitators around the world that are doing bars classes and also running bars. And it's like, in the bars, there's 32 different points on the head. You touch them and it starts to press that delete button of all the thoughts, feelings and emotions, etc., and dissipate it all. So, and if you want to find out more about Brendon, also, what's your Instagram handle? Actually, I think I know it. Access Brendon Watt, but it's Brendon. Okay, yeah, is how you spell it. It's like Brendon. It's the fancy. Yes. It's the fancy Brendon. So,
I'm terrible with that stuff.
Yes. So, and I look forward to seeing you in September in Mexico.
I look forward to seeing you too. It's so close now. It's interesting that we can actually start traveling a little bit again. So,
well, you have to ask for permission from the Australian government. So, and I got it. So, thumbs up.
So what would it take for it all to change?
Everything it doesn't allow the world to change, to create greater possibilities. Can we destroy and uncreate it? Please contribute on 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's just getting the energy.
Right and wrong, good, bad, pub and popcorn, lunch, sports, boys and meals. Yeah.
So thank you again for joining me here today, Brendon, and I'll see you soon. And enjoy your time at the castle and your classes. And how does it get any better than this?
I'm so excited about that. Thank you.
Mwah. You're welcome. Mwah. Bye-bye. If you're enjoying this podcast and have a question or topic you'd like me to address, please leave a review wherever you are listening. The best way for me to know what it is you want to hear about is to send in your questions, and we actually read all the reviews that come in. So let us know which episodes you loved and what you want to hear about next, right there in the podcast reviews. And thank you. Truly, truly grateful.